All right, so here's what I've learned about building a structure, 6,000 square foot building, dentist office specifically, near a wetland area. So I've got a client, he's a doctor, he's a dentist, and what we're doing is we're building right behind a wetland area. So we had to do a wetland delineation test, boring test, go through all the approvals and entitlements, all the studies necessary to build the structure. Oh yeah, super early in the morning, 60-pound vest on. This is my hour every other day with a 60-pound vest. So I'm gonna breathe a little hard, but I'm gonna get through this training with you. So we'll do it together. If you don't know who I am, my name is Franklin Cruz. I'm a real estate developer. I own a company called TrueInvestors Development, and I do developments throughout the country. And one of the most notary one was I took one house on 9 acres, converted it to 41 houses, sold the KB Homes for $1.25 million, and then they named the street after me. It's called Cruz Court. First house is 7187 Cruz Court. Pretty cool. You can check it out in Lakeland, Florida. Okay, let's go back to, okay, so here's some of the big lessons. Number one, if you're building a structure in a wetland area, obviously you have to make sure you get your wetland delineation. Do not, if you're the developer, do not rely that your civil engineers and your architects are going to coordinate this properly. You just want to make sure this is added to your checklist. So hopefully this helps anybody on creating your checklist to make sure that you're not missing anything, because if so, you're probably going to have an issue with your foundation if you don't do the proper steps. So what it is after you do all your studies and after you get your approvals and entitlements, you want to make sure that that wetland delineation study and also the geotech is actually getting forwarded to the architect. You want to make sure the architect is coordinating with your horizontal GC and your vertical GC. Preferably, if your horizontal GC and your vertical GC is literally the same person or has an in-house architect, that's going to be super helpful. The main reason why is what I'm learning in real time, and I'm sharing this with you, is that your architect should be asking for the geotech, because if you're behind a wetland area and you got your wetland delineation, you're not building in a wetland. Okay, so let's be very clear on that one. You're not building in a wetland. What you are doing is you're near one. So you have to make sure whatever soil that you're actually going to be putting that foundation on, obviously you're going to need fill dirt and everything else, but there is still a proper way to make sure that architectural foundation drawing is getting done properly. They could, the pylons could be very different. If you're doing pier and beam, you have to make sure that you're getting a foundation that has a little bit of movement allowed, period. That is a very high engineered item. That's why I'm saying that your architect and obviously your horizontal and vertical contractors are all kind of working together. Don't assume. That's the only conversation I'm having right now, is do not assume. So what I found is that architect, if you're getting bids out and some of the bids are very low, but that architect is also not asking for the geotech to make sure that they are creating a foundation that's going to work for specifically your building, you may have a future issue that you don't want. So even though, because a lot of times we go for just who's the cheapest, right? What matters is who's the best. It's not just the price. Anything can get negotiated, but you want to ask the details specifically about your foundation, because your foundation is the most important, period, when it comes down to it. Anything else can get worked out. Obviously, you're going to have, it's got to pass inspections. It's got to pass a lot of different categories. It's got to, no matter what, it has to pass the building department, that they're going to double and triple check everything also. But don't assume when it comes down to the foundation. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're building in a wetland area, not saying you're building on it, but you're building around, like there's wetlands in that area, especially if you're in Florida, you want to double and triple check to say, hey, did that architect, when you're asking for bids, did that architect ask specifically for the geotech, knowing that, hey, we told them that there's wetlands in the area because they got the conceptual plan, and the conceptual plan actually showcases that there was wetlands in the area, because you have to designate that area in your conceptual plan. You have to showcase that. So if they're not even bringing that up, just put a little bit of a red flag, because they should be asking that. So you want to just make sure that's a part of your checklist. This is what we have a part of our checklist. I'm learning this actually in real time. I was very blessed that we've got amazing team members on our team. But my job as a developer is to make sure I'm gathering all the notes. I'm making sure that we're checking all the boxes. Because at the end of the day, as a developer, yeah, you get the wins, but also you got to take responsibility for literally everything. And your job is to make sure that you're doing the absolute best job that you can to make sure that yourself, your investors, whoever your partners are getting the absolute best product possible for long-term ROI gains on your asset, period. So hopefully this helps and this makes complete sense, but just make sure, again, that a part of your checklist, that architect, whoever you're getting bids from, take note. Did they ask for the geotech? Did they not? They should be. So, and you want to make sure that they take into account whenever they're putting bids. Hey, did you take into account that, look, we got wetlands behind here that we have, on the wetland delineation, it shows that, but I just want to be clear, why didn't you ask for that? What difference are you going to make in the foundation, knowing that, hey, the soil in this area, is near wetlands, even though you have a setback and everything else. I totally get that. But you want to make sure, like, what type of foundation are we doing because of that? So, because land, we're constantly shifting. The land constantly shifts, specifically if you're in Florida, right? So, anyway, hopefully this helps. And if you got a site similar to this, you need some guidance, you're looking kind of like for an outside consultant that can kind of be what I would call your eyes looking in, probably checking your blind spots, go to TrueDevelopers.com, and I'll see if the site works, that we could possibly work together. If so, great. If not, it's all good. Hopefully you're getting some out of this video. But again, TrueDevelopers.com. All right, be blessed. All right, bye.